Right, so let's discuss that issue of the Al-Shabaab threat here in Kenya further. We're joined here in studio live by two correspondents, Robert Nagila and Mogadishu-based CCTV's Mohamed Hirmoge. Thank you both for joining us. Robert, let me begin with you. You've obviously covered the various attacks conducted here in Kenya by Al-Shabaab. How would you say, just to what extent is Al-Shabaab a threat here in Kenya?
Well, it is still very much a threat, especially just coming on the back of what we witnessed in September. Now, the way Al-Shabaab, it's not fighting a conventional war. This is more guerrilla tactics. This is an insurgency for them, and it's by extension from Somalia, because as far as they're concerned, the Kenyan government is an impediment to what they're trying to do in Somalia. And hence, that's the reason we're seeing attacks here. Now, how do they measure their success? By the number of attacks that are carried out successfully on Kenyan soil. Westgate was one of them. We did see a few months ago at the airport where there was an attempted attack. Luckily, no one was killed then. This one was foiled, luckily. So they are still very much a threat. Security forces are aware of that. There's been a lot of vigilance stepped up, public being advised as well to be vigilant and to report anything suspicious to authorities. So yes, very much a threat to Kenya.
Well, their base is obviously Somalia, Mohamed. That is, of course, where you report for us from. How decisively have the AMISOM forces and KDF been able to deal with Al-Shabaab there?
Conventionally, they've been recovered many areas from the control of Al-Shabaab, and the last component of the African Union mission, the Ethiopian component, have actually registered huge successes over the last 2 weeks in central Somalia, liberating 5 major strategic towns from Al-Shabaab. But like Robert put it, there is a second component of the Al-Shabaab, the guerrilla wing, the hit squad. These are people who don't take part in the conventional warfare at the front lines. They're not at the battlefront with the AMISOM or the Somali National Army. They are in a hideout, always preparing the next guerrilla-style attacks. Where is the next place to hit? The last place they did hit in Somalia was the presidential palace just about 3 or 4 weeks ago, where the suicide squad broke through the wall of the presidential palace, almost getting the president. And many analysts say the president just survived by sheer luck, because at the time of the attack was the time the president was supposed to have been at the mosque praying the Friday prayer. And rumor has it that the president was delayed on the way by a meeting. Otherwise, the president might have actually been caught up in that kind of a war. Therefore, if we put it as conventional warfare, the African Union troops, AMISOM, the 6 countries, troops contributing countries, have registered huge successes. In the other component, the guerrilla-style warfare, unfortunately, not much has been done, and it's quite hard to do much on that.
Well, not much has been done in Somalia, Robert, but how about here in Kenya? Just how has the government responded to these attacks? What is it the government has done or failed to do to contain this threat?
Well, what I do know for certain is that there have been a number of terror attacks directly linked to Al-Shabaab that have been foiled by security forces. Now, most of this they don't talk about. Now, when you see something, for example, like the report that came out yesterday. Now, this apparently happened over the weekend when these 2 individuals were actually arrested. It wasn't yesterday. But when you see a report like this coming out, then it does appear that some members of the media, the Fourth Estate, may have gotten wind of it and were about to publish, forcing authorities to actually come out with this information. But we are made to understand that there have been a number of attacks that have been foiled. Most of them do not make their way to the public foray for obvious reasons. Authorities do not want to cause any sense of panic amongst the public themselves. But yes, they have been very, very successful. We do know as well that authorities suspect that there are some cells within some of the cities like Nairobi, for example. Those are being hunted down. Now, when you see something like what occurred yesterday, then that means that this attack was now imminent. They were about to carry out the attack when acting on a tip-off, as authorities say, then they managed to foil that.
Hirmoge, let me come to you. Where has it proven difficult to eliminate Al-Shabaab in Somalia?
Well, the same case everywhere, insurgency. Look at Iraq, look at Afghanistan, where American millions of dollars and troops far more sophisticated than African troops and armory have been used. I mean, the case here is when there is insurgency, when you can't fight, they say back in Mogadishu, you can't find somebody who's ready to die. I mean, Al-Shabaab has a hit squad. They have a guerrilla force. They have a suicide squad. And these guys want to pay the ultimate price, death. So it's really hard to control that. Besides, their tactics have been improving. And if there's one tactic that worked for Al-Shabaab over the last 10 years or so is ideology. Selling the ideology that death upon a war that is supposedly supposed to be jihad, the reward is paradise. I mean, as long as they can preach that gospel and brain drain young men and women, for that matter, Al-Shabaab will still be a force to reckon with. Plus, look at what they have done over the last couple of years. Every time the AMISOM force is ready to take a new town, Al-Shabaab doesn't offer much resistance. They look at the force, size them up, see they can't measure strength. And what they do, they just leave the town, they disarm the town. But instead, work on insurgency, on suicide bombings, on roadside bombs, on landmines. I mean, this is what they have been doing, and that is a major tactic that has worked for them. And something the Somali government has done, which they have not improved on, is the fact that last year they have brought a number of Somali clerics, even from abroad, to pass a fatwa, a religious edict, on the whole idea of extremism. And unless the Somali government, together with the religious clerics, are ready to turn the tide against the ideology of extremism, then Al-Shabaab will be there to stay.
Okay, Mohamed, let's leave it there for now. Thanks very much to both of you. Robert Nagila and Mohamed Hirmoge in studio with us.